Hey guys, welcome to an all-new GTTV. I'm Jeff Keighley. This week in Austin, Texas, as we count down to E3, and right now we've got an exclusive announcement of a brand new PlayStation 3 game. I'm here with Dylan, who is the president of Lightbox Interactive, because you guys are working on a new title. What's it called?
Starhawk.
Starhawk. Now, you guys are known for Warhawk. That was on PS3. We still remember you back at the PlayStation press conference with your 6-axis. So how is Starhawk different than Warhawk?
The Starhawk's, it's got the same essence, but it's also bigger and better. You know, players love the fast, multi-dimensional combat. Characters, vehicles, aircraft. Big landscapes, fast gameplay.
But do you have 6-axis support?
I'm actually not supporting 6-axis.
You're leaving it behind?
Yeah.
You were the man who birthed 6-axis on stage.
You know what? See, here's the thing. I mean, you know, obviously, we're always willing to try things out, right? We tried 6-axis out. We released a multiplayer-only game, one of the first big downloadable games on the PlayStation Network. There's some really great stuff that the 6-axis controller can do. It just isn't a great match for our game.
Now, tell us about this world, because what I love about this is there's a character, there's a lot of lore into Starhawk.
Yeah, actually, Starhawk takes place in what we're calling the frontier, this distant fringe of space. It's kind of this almost new gold rush kind of thing we call rift energy that shows up in all these different places in the frontier. Humans refer to it as blue gold, and so they drive out into the frontier trying to harvest it. Well, unfortunately, that rift energy is what everyone wants, but it also ends up infecting a lot of people out there. And so that rift energy, the thing that everyone wants, but the thing that no one really wants to get infected by, and that ends up creating both factions in our world, the Outcast and then the Rift Miners.
Now, you play a character named Emmett, right? And he sort of gets infected by the rift?
Yeah, actually, he and his brother were Rift Miners. And their rift claim was attacked by Outcast, a warband, and was blown up and destroyed, and both he and his brother were showered in rift energy. And that's really what sets the stage. And so what's neat about the story in Starhawk is that Emmett Graves ends up taking a rift salvage contract to bring his brother, who has become mutated, to justice.
Wow, that looks like a really cool shooter, but there's a whole other element to it. It's kind of this RTS light aspect to it, where you can build different troops, and you can put down turrets and all these things. So how important is that to the gameplay?
It's wicked important. I mean, for us, it's a key differentiator. There's so many great shooters out there. Build and battle is really what sets Starhawk apart. And for us, it's not about managing stuff. No one wants to manage anything. We wanted to make creating units and structures as easy and as visceral as pulling the trigger on a weapon, and that's what we're doing in Build and Battle.
And you get rift energy from killing these guys, and that's what you use to sort of cash in.
Yep. Yeah, you get rift energy from a bunch of stuff. You can kill guys, you can capture flags, there are different objectives that give it, and all the different units in the game, whether they be buildings or spawners or just vehicles, they all have a different cost.
So how much of the game is defensive versus offensive? I think one of the things when you hear RTS, you're like, oh, am I going to be sort of stuck in a base?
Oh, am I going to be
defending my base?
Right. Yeah. You know, what's interesting about that is it depends on how you play. I think one of the things I mentioned in my presentation is that, you know, if you're a player that is predisposed to turtling, you're going to turtle. I mean, it's a fact, it's true. But we've got, you know, some StarCraft nuts on the studio, and they always do an annoying Zerg rush, right? And so it's annoying, but whatever, it's a tactic. And they do a Jeep rush. And so you hear people after a playtest talk about, oh, Jeeps, are, you know, 4x4s are overpowered early game, and we got to do this. And there are real-time strategy elements that come out, but it's very, very fast-paced.
GTTV in Austin, and now it's time to turn to the multiplayer mode of Starhawk. And to do that, we've got Josh, who's the lead game designer on the game. So we know about the single player, but how is the multiplayer different? You're not playing as Emmett, I guess, right?
Right. You're not playing as Emmett. You're playing as a member of the Rifters or as a member of the Outcast, depending on which team you roll or which team you select. The multiplayer is essentially framed against the backstory, the core fiction of the game, aside from Emmett, which is that war between the Rifters and the Outcast over rift energy.
And then how is the gameplay different based on which side you pick?
It's much like Warhawk in that regard, where the factions are your teams.
Okay.
So it's not like you have different mechanics or different abilities, and the factions have parity. Build and Battle creates some very interesting strategies in multiplayer. You can somewhat replicate these strategies in single player, but because your opponents in single player are not also using build and battle against you.
The battle of the turrets.
Exactly.
Now, as you play through the multiplayer, is it really just like different modes on different maps?
We have a number of different maps. We have a number of different modes, and those things intersect. So you could play, for example, the map that we're showing tonight. We're showing it with Capture the Flag. You could play a different game mode on that map.
Now, what we're seeing tonight is an area called Acid Sea. Where does that fit into the fiction?
The Acid Sea is actually an area on a moon of the planet that is at the center of the story. There are a number of moons around this planet, and they represent each of the different environment types that you're playing, both through the single-player campaign and also in multiplayer.
So it would be a bad thing if you sort of, get near the Acid Sea or fall in? Is that one of the tactics?
The acid is very hazardous.
Get there, get there.